Uh, we want to welcome our guest, Mr. Dipon Shah, but we are waiting for our director and Professor Shekhar Mukherjee. So, as soon as they join, we'll start. Thank you for being with us.
হ্যালো, হ্যাঁ, 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 বা আপনি অ্যানাউন্স করে শুরু করুন, অ্যানাউন্সমেন্ট মানে করে। হ্যালো, ঠিক আছে? অ্যানাউন্সমেন্ট। We welcome our director, sir, who is a Partho Sarathi Chakraborty, and Mr. Dipon Kumar Sahu, Assistant Innovation Director, Innovation Cell, Ministry of Education, and all the faculty members, staff members, and students of IIST Shibpur and the other institutes.
A very good evening to one and all present here. I am Rajdeep Chakrabarti, and here with me is Swarnila Roy. We are undergraduate students of IIST Shibpur and are here to host the webinar on toy designing, a Make in India initiative organized by Institutions Innovation Council, IIEST Shibpur.
Good evening, everyone. I am Swarnila Roy, an undergraduate student here at IIST Shibpur. Here we are extremely honored to be able to host this online webinar on toy making. We present to you a 2-day workshop where we have a panel of extremely distinguished and qualified leaders who expertise in their individual fields, who are here to share their individual story of hard work, passion, the story of success, and most importantly are here to motivate the participants and enlighten every one of us here the need to establish an independent Indian toy market and promote the rich Indian cultural heritage. I hope this session will be fruitful for all our participants here. So without wasting any further time, I would like to ask Rajdeep to start on with the event.
Thank you, Swarnila. The toys and games we spent our childhood with have always played an integral role, especially when we have fond memories with them to share. Truly said, the toys children play with fundamentally builds one's thinking and physical capabilities, intelligence, and knowledge, inculcates good values in them, and teaches them their first lesson in sportsmanship. India, being the land of diverse cultures, has also witnessed a rich heritage when it comes to toys and games derived from its several factions. Natun Gram dolls of Purva Bardhaman, West Bengal, Channapatna dolls from Ramanagara districts, and Kondipalli toys from Krishna districts of Karnataka. Etikopakka toys from Vishakhapatnam district of Andhra Pradesh and the popular wooden dolls of Rajasthan mirror the rich heritage of that region. We not only learn about their historical significances, but also about the resourcefulness of the toy makers and a lesson to prevent plastic in toy manufacturing. Unfortunately, the Indian local toys and games industry is estimated to enjoy only a mere 0.8% of the global toy market share. The key reason for such a low percentage is the fact that over 82% of the toys are imported from China and not manufactured in the country, and they dominate the Indian market by a whooping 90%, which discourages production from a vibrant toy industry. Also, it is speculated that the current toy making situation is incapable to meet the supply demands of the Indian market. The Indian toy makers definitely need the encouragement from the market which they wholly and truly deserve. Hence, it is high time we rethink and popularize the rich cultural Indian toys and make sure they play their roles in the holistic development of every child. Under the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan initiated by our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, Toycathon 2021, the Toy Hackathon is conceived to challenge India's innovative minds to conceptualize novel toys and games based on Indian civilization, history, culture, mythology, and ethos. I would now please like to invite on board Professor Subhashish Bhaumik, Dean, Research and Consultancy and President, Institutions Innovation Council, to kindly give us the welcome address. Sir, please.
Honorable Director, IIST Shibpur, Professor Partho Sarathi Chakraborty. Honorable Director, National Institute of Design Amravati, Professor Shekhar Mukherjee, Assistant Innovation Director, Innovation Cell, Ministry of Education, Mr. Dipon Kumar Sahu, Creative Director, Magic Crate, Ms. Anindita Sengupta, Deans and Head of the Departments, students and teachers of different schools and higher academic institutions, faculty members, officers, and staff members, and the students of IIST Shibpur. A very warm welcome to all of you. Institutions Innovation Council of IIST Shibpur is organizing this webinar on toy design, a Make in India initiative, and implementation of toy building concept for the school children and the students of higher educational institutions with an objective to make the toys which are full of fun, excitement, and engagement product. Children, they are the bundles of complex emotions, just like grown-ups, but with the fewer life lessons and the less exposures. Toys make the kids grow inside and can play for the creative expressions, family bonding, developing the life skills for the holistic growth. India, despite being home to many of the globally popular games like chess, ludo, snakes and the ladders, is not among the leading developers and the manufacturers of the toys. The possibility of using ordinary things for doing science and recycling the modern junk into the joyous products appeal immensely to the children. And innovative toys, these are for the science-based fun activities and also act for the teaching aids. And hence, we have to develop the useful low-cost science teaching aids with locally available materials for the young children. Government of India is encouraging and promoting indigenous toy making, design, innovations, and the manufacturing. And recently, the National Toy Fair Virtual 2020 was organized. Now it has come to the point to mobilize the participations of more number of students from engineering background for Team Up for Toys under the aegis of initiatives Make in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, and Vocal for the Local. So, toys are put on the earth to be played with by the children. And to a child, airplanes are the interesting toys, but of no monetary value. Innovation is hard. It really is. Because most of the people do not get it. But we should remember that the automobiles, the airplanes, the telephone, so these were considered toys at the introduction level. So whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve also. So we have to give the children toys that are powered by the imaginations and not by the batteries. So thank you all, and we'll have a wonderful session ahead. Thank you.
Sir, I please take your permission to invite Professor Parthasarathi Chakraborty, Honorable Director, IIEST Shibpur, to please inaugurate the webinar on toy designing a Make in India initiative. Professor Parthasarathi Chakraborty took over the charge as the first full-term director of Indian Institute of Engineering, Science and Technology, Shibpur, in May 2018. He has been the professor of Department of Electronics Engineering, IIT BHU, and former director of MNNIT Allahabad. Professor Chakraborty has made significant contribution to experimental and theoretical research in the areas of microelectronics and photonics and has published over 280 research papers in leading technical journals and in conference proceedings, has filed 3 patents, and has authored 3 textbooks to his name. Sir, please do the honor. Thank you.
Good evening and namaskar. On behalf of the Institute, I extend a warm welcome to our special guest from Ministry of Education, my esteemed colleagues, and my beloved students. In the beginning, I'll congratulate the Institution Innovation Council for organizing this webinar on such an important topic of toy making. And I think this is the first of its kind, which is organized by IIEST Shibpur on toy making. And let us see that why this toy making, suddenly we talk about toy making or toy designing or innovation. Let us see that why suddenly the Prime Minister emphasized the necessity of putting our attention to toy making, toy designing. The basic reason is that there is a huge market for this toy industries. And it is nearly $100 billion industry, toy industry if you see globally. And of which, as already mentioned, that Indian share is very, very small, 0.8% nearly. And this is mostly dominated by US and China. China is one of the dominant players in this toy market. And share of China is almost 1/4 of the total. It's nearly $25 billion is just produced by China. China produces dolls for its own consumption as well as imports to other countries, exports to other countries. And India, the toy making was not that in that extent which should have been. It cannot hit the demand of the domestic market even. And we largely depend on importing toys from China mostly, as you know that Chinese products are mostly used. And so much so that today's the idols which you use come from China. So this is something which shows that we have never taken it very seriously, that idols which are coming, Ganeshji or Saraswati idol or any idol you make, they are all China made. And the different colors you are using during Holi, they are also made by China. So you see that how a country like China has planned and see that and explored and examined the domestic market of other countries also and started producing this. Even in Western country, you find that the Christmas, the light lamps they use, they are all produced by China. And which we use in Diwali is also largely produced by China. Why that China has dominated the market? We need to investigate that, because the reason that sometimes you wonder that probably the cost at which you get this lamp, which we use for during Diwali, it doesn't even will be the cost of the material. It is forget about the labor cost. How they can make this thing so cheap, and so are the your toys. Those are produced by China. Even remote controlled toys, right, with batteries. I remember long back in the 90s, I bought one doll for my daughter, which used to call talking doll, which used to talk, right? So, and in 90s, so they were so advanced that they were making this kind of doll, and India never produced this kind of doll in those 90s, you can imagine. And it was a very simple doll, and with something recorded that the doll is either laughing or crying when it is in the horizontal position, and when you lift it, and it starts laughing. So this is small, but the concept you see, just like you compare with a child, right? When you take the child on your lap, then starts laughing, or otherwise when you put him on the bed flat, starts crying. A simple novel idea of putting, and this attracts. I have seen in my case, my child, it attracts this. So this kind of innovation idea was in 90s. Now we have never given serious thought about this and the potential of this, and why India needs to produce. One aspect is that we talk about our rich cultural heritage, and we can produce this kind of toys for teaching purposes also, giving certain message, right, and create bonding. Because toy is something which is when a child comes to the connection, the physical world, first thing he gets or she gets is a toy, right? And in today's that kind of lifestyle or limited number of children, one or two maximum to each family, most of the time the children play with the toys, right? And they learn a lot of things through this. Even though this has now changed in terms of mobile and these different kinds of games. But that's the importance of making this toy, that you can capture this market. And initially you'll see that when Chinese toys started coming in the market, they use certain materials which are not environmentally friendly or not safe for the children to be used. Lot of metals and those colors they use contain heavy metals, right? And the environmental laws were not that stringent in China probably, or not actually followed strictly, and they exported all these dolls to all these countries, including US, UK, and India also. Then there's a time when some of the Western countries banned completely the Chinese toys because they use excess of lead and other heavy metals in making of the toys. So that was an opportunity when the domestic market of those countries could develop, but somehow it didn't happen. And China has not done it in one day. They had a plan, they surveyed the market and found what are the demands in the different countries and developed the market that way. Now, India, we need to, if we want to, there's a huge market which India can capture. And because of this COVID situation, we have got an opportunity. COVID has troubled us a lot, but definitely has created a lot of business opportunity. And one of these business opportunity is in the toy industry, right? When not only India, but many of the other countries also have restricted the import of goods from China. And for India, this is a golden opportunity for India to develop its own market. So you see why the Prime Minister is now telling us that you have seen there has been an economic slowdown because of the COVID situation. And now this is the high time for our domestic market to develop, particularly this manufacturing sector we need to. So it's a huge opportunity for all of us. And now India should produce under your Atmanirbhar Bharat, that we can produce our toys for our own consumption as well as we can export also. So for exporting the toys, you'll have to see the market also, that in other countries, what kind of demand of toys are there in other countries. That may not be necessarily same as the domestic market. So you'll have to do a study, and then India can be a huge contributor to this world toy market. And as you know that why the students should be involved, because innovation will come from this, right, from the students. Maybe starting from the school levels or college level, it is very, very important that you come with innovative ideas. And now it's the age of technology where this new technology, you'll have to, innovative approach you'll have to bring. And all this remote controlled, battery operated, you'll have to make these toys very, very interesting, right? But at the same time, just not the, while playing, they'll learn something also. So that's very important. So where this innovation is needed, and you can play a big role. The students can play a big role in this, right? So keeping in this mind and using this opportunity that India, all of you should come forward with your innovative ideas, and all ideas may not mature ultimately commercially, but I think that if this all these institutions, they come with innovative ideas, and some of the ideas will definitely mature in the form of a commercial product, and India in this process can dominate in the market, satisfying the domestic requirement, will be able to export it also. So there's a huge potential for this, and I think IIST Shibpur will play a big role here, and we'll create some facilities also. As you know that the new technology of 3D printing, 3D printing is most widely used for toy making, and this is a very simple and easy process in which your material loss is minimal. Material loss is minimal, and you can have different kind of design which can be fed to this 3D printer, and you can have these toys developed. Right, making standard toys like balls or bats or something like that. This is very, very common. Material cost is also not very huge. So this kind of traditional toys can be made easily by an investment of 15 to 20 lakhs. You can earn a lot of money, but that's not the objective of this. The young engineer should not be only concentrating on creating this kind of facility and making traditional toys, but innovation is more important. Come with new ideas, and the institute will definitely help you in implementing your innovative ideas to a prototype which can be further commercially exploited. And that is what I all wanted to share with you. But in this webinar, you'll hear from the experts who are really in the field and have the experience to share with you. And I think all the participants will learn a lot from these people who will be sharing their thoughts on this platform. And it will inspire them also, motivate them also to take this toy business seriously. So thank you very much, Jai.
Thank you very much, sir. Moving on with today's event, I would like to invite our first speaker for today, Mr. Dipan Kumar Sahu. Mr. Dipan Kumar Sahu, Assistant Innovation Director at the Ministry of Education's Innovation Cell and All India Council for Technical Education. Mr. Sahu, after obtaining a degree in Fishery Science from Sri Venkateshwara Veterinary University, went on to pursue Masters in MBA in Rural Management from KIIT University. He even obtained a second master's degree in Development Policy from Korea Development Institute. Mr. Sahu plays a lead role in designing and implementation of major national policy initiatives and entrepreneurship-related policy programs. We are very humbled to have you, sir, among us. And after sir shares his precious words of guidance with us, the forum is open to participants if they have a few questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Aparna and Swarnila Roy. Who is the speaker? I just want to know your name.
Sir, I am Swarnila Roy.
Okay, Swarnila Roy, for the very brief introduction. And thanks to IIEST Shibpur and also the institution's Innovation Council members, the president, convener, and all the members of IIEST members at your institute. Also, my sincere thanks to Director of the Institute, Professor Parthasarathi Chakrabarti sir, and the guest, uh, Professor Shekhar Mukherjee sir, and all the delegates and the student participants who was a part of this very unique program, especially webinar program on toy. You all have designed, conceptualized, and also conducting. You are part of this webinar. So it's a why I say it's first of its kind, because no doubt ministry is always in proactive stage to conduct so many programs. But when institutes trying to imitate that initiatives of Ministry of Education, and they are trying to conduct, and they're taking a lead role at their region to conduct this kind of programs, is always kind of a giving us kind of energy that to be part of this kind of programs, because we want our institute to take this kind of lead role. And through IIC, we are trying to bring this kind of changes. And when we started this Institutions Innovation Council program 2 years back in 2018 November, during that time only 400 to 500 institutes they came forward. They have joined this network. But gradually, you see, in the last 1.5 years, the number has been gone from 400 institutes to 2,500 institutes. Now, across all over the country, the institutions, they are taking lead role, not only in towards the streamlining the startup and innovation ecosystem, also they are creating the awareness, they are imparting that, they are transferring the knowledges, they are doing the collaboration, and keeping only one motive, that how to generate more innovations at the startups from our academics. This is the what we are expecting. This is the what actually our India needs now, because our honorable Prime Minister, I'm talking about not a person, I'm talking about the vision of a person, vision of the government, that we are aiming to become a $5 trillion economy by 2025. And currently, what the 2.5 level, and we have to just double it. That means the kind of policy reforms required, the kind of efforts at the not only at the government, also at the private sector, also at the institution level, also being a citizens of the country, that every individual has the role to play, and that role only will come when we will realize, when we will understand our responsibility, and when we will take a step. In each and every steps have innovation and entrepreneurship is the approach, which is what our Ministry of Education is trying to bring the changes and trying to provide this culture by enabling our higher education institute to play, so that every students, every faculties, those are part of this kind of ecosystem. They not only will acquire the skill set, also they will understand the importance of the innovation and entrepreneurship. Now, slowly, people are, students are understanding, and our youths, because it's more than 60% people are on the youth, and they're in the very active workforce. And if we will not make them realize about their potential, if we will not discover that quality of innovation and entrepreneurship, then now we are boosting. We are feeling proud that we are a very young country, and soon, if next 10 years, if we will miss this opportunity, then the whole country will not get this opportunity again. And this the kind of a, we are saying it is a kind of a we will never realize or dream of $5 trillion. That's of course we will miss it. Also, the dream of to become a developed nation, also that's also will miss that bus. So before we miss the bus, we have to catch it, and we have to make it happen. Then only I think we can proudly say that we are the proud contributor to the nation's building process. And this is the what toy hackathon is one part of it. And as rightly said by the director of the institute, that Dr. Professor Parthasarathi sir, that market, which is the guiding factor. Second thing is the potential and that business potential. And the third one is that what kind of raw materials or what kind of facilities or what kind of opportunities are around with us. So consider the example of the toy. Toy is not a new word for us, right? Because everybody knows the toy, and we are used to, and we're playing with toys when just since our after a baby born. and maybe the type of toy we use differ to the different economic class or the society or the geography, but everybody are versed and they have used the toy. And you will see the what kind of toys we're using. I think it is not only toys, never restricted to only the childhood stage or the baby or the school. In at the age of 40 or at the age of 50 or the 60, we use the toys but in different ways. So just the nature and the type of toys varies. Sometimes we use it as a game, or sometimes we use it as something kind of a different tools that we use, because toy is always linked with the entertainment, fun and learning. And when a baby use the toy, this is to feel something, that something is there to play with the baby. They feel in that sense. They interact, they share their emotions in a different way. But when a school going children, they use the toy, they use for the learning, they kind of interactive way, and that is the STEM based toys they generally use. But when college going the students, they use the toy, they use in the different, they use the iPhone, they use the other Android applications, they use the different games for utilizing time. But similarly, when the age increases, our way and purpose of using toy varies. So this is the what the countries like China and the other developed countries, they have identified that opportunity, and they have acquired that necessary skill sets, and they have converted into a business opportunity. And that's why they, since last 10 to 15 years, what rightly said by the professor, that China has successfully managed this strategy, and they get into the whole international business, and they've captured the whole market in the toy industry. Being one of the diversified culture, not only the culture, also in the diversification in the geography and the population and demography dividends, India has this opportunity to develop, have a strong domestic market. But actually, we have never seen this toy industry as an industry side, or as a kind of business aspect, or the market potential. This is the what we did mistake in the last 10 years, and government is trying to uh, communicate to the whole that is the to our all the people, that see toy is that industry which has the high potential, which is always have a high demand, because we generally use the toy in each and every stage, and we have this big population. And the manufacturing and designing of toys is also not rocket science, because we can create desi toys, we can create Indian theme based toys, we can create the toys that is connected to the our culture and the ethos. And India has very strong culture and very strong culture of, you can link with different religion, you can connect with the different festivals, or the practices or science, all kind of things. So we have enrichment or enriched culture and the practices. And what we have to do, we have to just convert it into a kind of a toy form, for which 3D use of 3D printers is definitely is going to is a one of the very simpler and easiest way and also effective way of converting ideas or this kind of things into toy form. And more than 5,000 tinkering labs in the schools. Actually, this model is quite successful at the ground, because the tinkering labs, they are helping also engaging the students in converting their ideas and developing the prototypes by using these 3D printer systems. And the tinkering labs have this kind of prototype, rapid prototyping, or we call it 3D printing facilities. And this is the what we have to scale it up. And if each and every school, that they will try to help the students in developing their, identifying the interest among the students, and helping them to identify this kind of creative ideas, and converting them into toys, and or simple kind of a prototypes. And then prototypes will not only will help in not only will play the role of toy, also it will help in understanding that particular phenomenon. Like if somebody will create a heart, like human heart, and they will develop a 3D model of the human heart, and not only they will use it as a toy, also they will understand that heart looks like, how it functions, what are the major components of the heart. So this is what we call the STEM toys, STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics-based toys. So this is now actually increasing. Now the startup industry also in India is gradually increasing, and they are always exploring some business opportunities. That's where they can make some good intervention, which has very good potential. So most of these startups, they've shifted their focus towards the toy industry, because now in the last 3 to 4 years, when government gave a call that to boost this toy industry, they have initiated so many programs like 100% FDI, foreign direct investment, has been now allowed in this toy industry, and allowed for the collaboration with international agencies and international corporations. Now, many startups in India, even the incubation units are located in India. More than 400 incubation units are there, and the startups or the companies, they're getting supports through these incubation units, and they are bringing off and coming up with so many Indian or called desi toys. One example is called toiling. So two I am Kozhikode alumni members, they have established this startup in 2016, and they have identified this problem from the market, because one of the founder and his daughter, he was 3 years old, and when he was searching for a toy to give to his daughter, and he couldn't able to get a good toy. That's why he thought what to do, and he was driving in the Mumbai city, and in the traffic signal place, he found that one that is the local guy. He was selling do it yourself castles. So he borrowed that concept from there, and he said that why he's not going to develop a toy like Ganesha, Krishna, and ready-made kind of thing, so that he will provide with so many do-it-yourself based, concept-based tools to the students or the children, and let them to develop the prepare that Ganesha and Krishna toys. So from there, that business idea got clicked, and now he has established the chain. He has tied up with Amazon, and he is selling that this do-it-yourself toys and throughout the country, and also he has set up the chain in 50 cities. So this is the what actually starting from an idea, and how that idea has converted into a business, and now this business is not only creating the employment opportunity, also helping the children to understand the different mythological concepts, and also the persons or to whom we worship, or the god whom we worship. Let me share with you one steps that helps in the designing the toy, and let me share my screen. Is it visible? Is it visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. The presentation.
Yes, sir.
So the toy creation process, it is not a rocket science, and it is very simple process. If you will understand it, also you will do it. And if you will understand the process very carefully, then this will help you to start a business also. So you will start a business or not, that is a different story. But if you will understand it, and it is not much different than the normal process of what you are doing the other innovations. And being the student in a very good institute and the repute institute, I hope you have been given with the opportunity to do some innovation. So what you have to do, you have to just change and you just tune your mindset, and you have to think from the toy or from the toys industry side, toy market side. So it starts with conceptualization. So normally conceptualization means we have to think about something to start with. So we can take the clue from the social media based market analysis, or also we to do some trend identification, that what kind of toys are generally sold in the market, and who are the who are the startups or the industries those are playing, and what kind of toys they are producing. And also you have to correlate your thought process when you are in your child or in your school stage, and what your other also thinks about and what you felt during that time. So you have to correlate your childhood stage, and you have to think that what the new or what the different things actually you look or you are looking for during that time. And you can go and talk with uh, school going children or the college going children, that actually how you spend your time in during the leisure, and what kind of actually games you play, or what kind of tools actually generally you use to hang on with during the off time, this kind of things. So you have to go to the market, you have to think about, you have to ask certain questions to your customer or the target group, and you have to collect the feedback, and through that you have to think about what kind of things or it may be incremental innovation. That doesn't matter that you have to only come up with the radical things. So you have to start from there. And once you think that, okay, you will work on this toy, then you have to think about next stage. Just giving one example. So here one picture, that one baby is playing the wooden based toys. Actually, the story behind this is that this is from a family where this kid has allergy with the plastic toys. So the mother was quite worried about that, to give a plastic toy to the to her kid. And after that, he started exploring the market where he will get something which has no allergic reaction for her kid. And that's point where he started exploring and started preparing 2 3 toys, wooden based toys. And when and that was called the market identification, and it was started from her home. And second thing is that when her kid started playing, so from there he studied that what the model, what the kind of a refinement is actually required to make it more comfortable for the kid. And after that, she started again making some betterment, improvisation, and slowly, when she convinced that wood wooden based wood based toys, and also she has developed more than 3 or 4 type of wood based toys. After that, she started a company and floated a company, and also now it is Chennai based startup. And they are doing a good market, they are doing a good business across the country. Also they have started exporting the toys to the other countries also. So this is the what first you have to start with the identification of the trend, and also to identify what kind of products or the toy you want to build. And then you have to connect with the skill and the technology, and you have to come up with a very prototype, or we call lab based design. And that design, it has to be validated, and you have to use the uh, mm, different kind of a quality control tools, and you have to check the safety hazards and also the reliability, design reliability aspects, to make it more acceptable among the user group. And also you have to validate, and that you can develop in your fab lab or the maker space, or you can call it pre-incubation centers established at the institute level. So I hope your institute also have one pre-incubation system where you can go and do all these kind of things. And once your design is okay, then you have to go and get into the production of certain items like 5 or 6 or 10, 20 pieces, and then you have to take take it to the actual target group. Those are going to use this products, and from there you have to take the feedback. You have to validate that what you have said, actually what you have defined and developed at the lab scale, actually it is validated, actually it is working. And also there is no much difficulties, or there is no much inconvenience at the at the interest group level. Once this is done, Then you have to go for the pre-production stage, and in the pre-production stage you have to take the different compliances like certifications, and also you have to create that the supply chain system. You have to identify the source of the raw material, and also you have to see that how this product, once you set up the production unit, how it will go. So that means you have to develop the whole plan for the production system in the pre-production system, and you have to obtain all kind of certifications and the compliances during this pre-production phase. Then the next target is your production, and you have to go for the mass production, and then get into the commercialization. So these are the 6 stages of toy creation, and most of all these people or the students or the these hackathons what we are doing, it is at the stage 1 and 2. That means conceptualization, the design. And this is why, because this the toy hackathon that you all are the part of, now this toy hackathon is going on, implemented by the Ministry of Education. um, what we are aiming for, that the students, they should understand the process of conceptualization first. How to identify, how to design, how to conceptualize a toy. What kind of toy? What should be the philosophy, or what kind of features, or kind of a innovations they will bring into the existing indigenous toys, so that there will be a kind of a wide acceptance among the target group. So Toy Hackathon 2020 21 of Ministry of Education along with other ministries. So far, more than 1,30,000 student teams are participating, and more than 17,000 ideas have been submitted. And finally, by the more than 14,000 teams, and we are doing this assessment, and the and the ideas and the concepts will emerge from this toy hackathon, will fed into this toy industry, the startups and the industries, and they will adopt. And also those students want to take it as in a venture firm, they can also take they will plan their startup or enterprise, that how they will take it to the next development, pre-production, the production and the concept commercialization level. And this will be kind of a value chain, value addition throughout the value chain, and also enhancing the capacity of the stakeholders by providing training support and the funding support to the proven ideas, or the good design toys for getting off in the this toy creation ladder process. So this is the what government has set for, but this is just the beginning. If you will see from the institution side or the student side, but if you will see the industry side, industry has already started preparing and gearing up for a better market capturing, and they already understand that Indian demographic dividends is going to give a long-term benefit, and this is the what is already also reflecting from the government policy reform side. FDI, allowing the FDI, 100% FDI in the toy industry is actually really a good indicator that Indian government is quite proactive, also taking very conducive policy reforms to make this toy industry lucrative, and also inviting existing MSME sectors to revive the industry, revive the whole production system using the technology, especially using the artificially intelligence or machine learning to and augmented reality technology to develop a new variety of toys, but keeping Indian culture, Indian ethos, Indian civilization, and Indian the mythology into the core, so that we will create an identity not only the Indian domestic market, also we will able to cater these things to the other countries. And this is the one of the industry which has a high potential to grow, also very high return on investment, with less expense, less capital expenditure at the beginning. So India has all these kind of basic necessities and the basic inputs to start it, and it is easily will comes into a large into a value creation, not only at the individual level, also at the regional and the national level. This is the what government has government is trying to making it happen through the strategic way. And this is the what we are also expecting from our institutions, from our students, get involved actively. And IICs are playing really a very good role in further triggering and motivating our students and taking this responsibility in a very sensible way. So this is the what about the toy creation process. But again, I will tell you this process also. I think most of you are quite aware about this design thinking. So design thinking has 5 stages, and you can use this design thinking approach. So I think you all are aware about the design thinking, mostly in the initial stage of conceptualization. Design thinking tools is quite handy and also effective. So as I said that, you have to go and get into the market, or you have to go to the target customers or the target people or the target user groups, and you have to understand. That is for empathizing. Then from there you have to come up with the problem statement, and that problem statement to be put into the table of team discussion table, to come up with, to formulate the different solutions, and best solution to be taken forward in form of the prototype and market testing, then into the next stages what I've explained so far. So this is called the design thinking, and I hope IIC Shibpur is going to also organize design thinking workshops, or the next person who is going to talk about the toy creation. I think she is going to explain about this design thinking process also. So this is the what about this is what about the toy creation, and I believe you all have this potential and you will do it. So thank you IIEST Shibpur for organizing this kind of webinar, and I believe you all will get benefit out of this webinar. Over to IIC Shibpur.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm sure the audience have learned and have been enriched by your speech today. I would now like to invite our next speaker for today, Professor Shekhar Mukherjee, a proud alumnus of National Institute of Design. Professor Shekhar Mukherjee was a senior faculty of communication design in NID Ahmedabad. Since 2002, before being appointed as the director of NID Amravati in 2018. In 2009, Sir received the Best Animation Teacher Award from CNBC TV18 for outstanding contribution to the cause of animation education in India. In an interview to the acclaimed newspaper The Hindu, Professor Mukherjee said, and I quote, "Design is not a decorative art, neither is it about technology or fashion. Design is an attitude, a way of life. Design is not exclusive, but inclusive. It is always human-centric." Sir, we are very honored to have you with us. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Rajdeep, for such flattering words. I'm humbled, and my apology for not keeping to my schedule, which is being provided to me. Due to, that there are a lot of overlapping meetings, and as a new responsibility, setting up another set of National Institute of Design, which is a very unique, because not only I studied there, but also the kind of time what we are today dealing with, where NID model perhaps can be a unique example in collaboration with many other institutes. So today I feel that for me, also being a migrated Bengali, it's a kind of a fantastic opportunity in this time when change is the only constant. So thank you very much, and thank you all the professors and dignitaries. I will try to address certain things that what actually made me so excited about this much needed design education, what NID is for many years, like since 60s, early 60s, it started nurturing when this country was also historically in a formative years of diverse applied education. But what NID gave me a chance to get into, this that very studio-centric culture and very much hands-on and minds-on approach. I was just closely checking the previous presentation and where you see the process, which is very much important. And today, when you are looking at even the field of toy design, it is something perhaps not any different process what we applied in our day-to-day life. But also at the same time, what we encourage that, to come up with the newer ideas. I always feel that it is very important that we bring this kind of applied education in close proximity of the reality. So this is what I will start with, if I may allow. I believe I have half an hour time for my presentation.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So I will just show a couple of presentation. Along with that, I'll talk. After my post-graduation in animation film design from Ahmedabad, I was very excited to set up a studio in Calcutta. Somehow it didn't happen. Maybe it was too early of a time. But then I was working in different sectors in the industry, in southern part, in western part of India. And what I feel that my heart lies into applied education like NID, what it offered us, that if we really have to nurture our own identity for the world market, I think we need to really come up with a intellectual property which is fresh, original, contextual, and it's connected to our culture, which is so diverse. And that is why the opportunities are so diverse. Because my experience was that we time and again fall into templatization of an idea. On the other hand, when the students come to the institute, they come with a lot of fresh minds and they come up with an amazing possible ideas to tell. But somewhere, perhaps the opportunity didn't really give them, or maybe in a scattered manner. But today, when we see internet is the kind of empowering tool, this is where is my screen visible?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So this is time and again, I decided after 8 odd years working in the industry, I realized that perhaps I'm not interested into only making money and just doing copy paste of a template figure, but to get back into the institute, which gave me a tremendous confidence to take risk. So this is something I feel that in this country, we are gifted with binaries, 0 and 1. And that is why the computer is something perhaps much easy way we can embrace. And because also it goes from Shantiniketan and also the Bauhaus, how it kind of came together in 1922 and a great exhibition which is being displayed of craft and design together, where Abanindranath and Paul Klee and Kandinsky, their work is being displayed in iconic city of Calcutta. And we are actually heading for that 100 years of Bauhaus in India. So this is the time where I'll just go by. This is something very important, that in applied education, because the child always born and when they grow, they play with something which is not necessarily a toy which is being purchased from the market. And this is something we need to recall and look back, that there is always an element of play. We always like to play with something than other. And all we need to understand that we need to observe. When we are doing a study of design, we encourage students to look around, observe, study, take note, write it down, that what children are playing with, what they come up with a crown of creation. But often what happened, I think we really take too much for granted of our own performance, our own marks, own grades. But then we try to put things in a very boring manner. And then in that process, children lose interest into that kind of toys, which is not necessarily has soul in it. On the other hand, we also need to understand there are lot of ideas is moving around, So today, what is the challenge that toys is designing make in India, and what is the excitement? What I feel the excitement is basically National Institute of Design kind of institute, along with many other fantastic institutes like IIEST and others, is time that we need to look at how collaboration can bring into understanding each other, adding strength to each other, and contributing in making of the idea before it goes into production. Because alone the market can't produce original ideas time and again, and this is where the education is very important. So the toy, along with toy, I think it also comes into the graphic narrative. It comes to the characters, what we play around with. So it is not only standalone toy design, what I'm talking about, the story of the object, story of the toys, story of the objects into film, into comics, into illustrated book, into textbook. If we talk about national education policy, where we're looking at perhaps a very revolutionary change in our curriculum from the day when child comes to a school, and what make them excited about it, and what will be the role of a educator or the mentor. So this is the philosophy what I think is very important in this juncture if we really want to enhance the Make in India for the world, and also started taking pride into that. Is basically what we are trying to do is are fostering our culture of a responsible and value-centric design education rooted in the tradition of India and Asia for the world. Learning objective is to see, know, understand, feel, think, and learning to do. And we have to be sensitive to our traditional context and to do justice to today's context, contemporary context, and then envisage and set a path for the future context. And exactly, I think we are gathering here today. So it is textile, industrial, communication design is keep on embracing with each other. We are taking the best practice of the past and integrating the IT into it, and then always interdisciplinary. It is like building a community. Students, they come from all over India to celebrate the diversity of India, the plurality of India, and tell each other's stories and listen to each other's stories through the classroom projects, through the workshops, and through many other way, which is beyond classroom, because we also encourage, as I said, the studio-based learning. So education is always on surviving on collaboration and outreach. And that is where when student goes to a solid foundation, then they work with a lot of quasi-life projects to take their ideas forward. Design process is very much embedded. So this process stays with them, which brings the attitude, their awareness, their conscious practice of design ethics, that we are not going to download from internet, we are not going to tweak and make a shoddy design out of it. And again design in context, that will be able to tell our story. So in short, what I think this education program, which is so applied, it applies for everything, any discipline of design, where our mind, we sometimes consciously distribute the different departments, the looking at it, internalizing it, feel for it, and then expressing it. So if we look at it, this is what it is about. A text which is of some many words is giving description of a character, which is coming as a single character. Yeah, so that suffice. So imagine a toy or a puppet, which is an idea which is a child is holding or a person is holding. For what purpose? And that is very important to look at it. On the other hand, we see that there are this kind of signage. This is my personal experience of looking around as a designer. I keep on collecting data using mobile camera, using my sketchbook, using my drawing pad, and wherever possible, every moment the mind should be active. And this is a message to the students that how many people in this country will understand in this kind of water drinking device to drink. So this is something I feel that we should be very careful that we don't get into this kind of templatization. So that's why a pre-production, as the previous presentation we are talking about, is very important. Also documenting and bringing different storytellers from these countries are very important, and not only documenting their traditional practices, also to empower their future generations to newer technology, which create a nice harmonious way of empowering them. So this unique traditional Indian toys doesn't get lost into this whole crowd of downloaded, easily templatized stuff. And this is the biggest challenge today. And I'm sure this, with very good applied education and professional educations and collaborations, will be moving on. And this is one of the trophies. We do some design festival called Chitragatha, picture and words, and that is the whole world is about. Some is good at picture, like me, and some is good at text. And both are giving, end of the day, the communication, trying to convey some idea, whether it's mathematics, medicine, or science fiction, or some kind of entertaining stories. So this is something is being created with the paper mache. So here another thing we are talking about, that reuse and waste management, reuse, recycle, and upcycle. So these are the old newspapers and magazines being used and made a paper mache trophy, which also embed with the character of playful nature of a trophy. So who said the trophy has to be static? Because nothing is static. And this is something people, we encourage, the students, the community, we encourage that you try it out, you try it out, you unlock yourself, you get into telling your stories, get into expressing your ideas. So this is something we encourage through our activity, and this is perhaps the time today it came, and that is what the great education and culture of this country is all about, that it has never been confined into the classroom. It is always the Gurukul parampara and under the banyan tree. And that is what I think conversation at tea shop is much more fruitful and enriching. But then when I go back, where I'll go back? And then I think this kind of model of education gives an opportunity that I go back to a school which is like a studio, where I do things along with my mentors, my teachers, those who are also practicing. So, and then we involve everyone. So where we talk about the inclusive design-enabled India, where people from all strata, all kind of types become empowered. And so we don't segregate or separate and make it inclusive. And that is the biggest challenge of design education and biggest excitement of design education, which can do wonders for harnessing this field of toy design and game design in this country, and which is already happening. And I'm sure it will happen much more expanded manner. So this is another students project, which is basically kind of a documentation and of the community in Kutch and about their appliques, and yet the motifs and patterns is telling stories of certain region, certain past, certain histories, which only possible when we have a two-way culture of listening to them, listening to a community, documenting them, and then trying to come up with what can be the probable solution and proposal so thing doesn't get lost. So likewise, if you see, this is something we also encourage a comic book or a graphic narrative. There is a one of the initiative we run beyond this classroom culture called this long form narrative, where this is a Gond painting, which is by a fantastic Gond artist, Venkat Shyam, is telling the story, which is with this deconstructed, which can be an ideal textbook by many to understand that what is the single painting is talking about so many stories in nature in harmony, and where the inspiration of element of play, why the toy, why are the traditional icons and idols is part of our society, which acknowledging certain bit of rituals, yet it also has its own playful nature. So I feel that we really don't need to isolate that saying designing toy means I have to design a typical toy. Perhaps it is always important to see that not only designing a toy, it's also redesigning an existing toy, documenting a traditional practice and materials, also to see that how technology can embed and take these brilliant styles and traditional practices from across India in this newer decade to move ahead, and that's why I feel that we need to recall again as a design community, quoting from Charles Sims, that eventually everything connects. People, ideas, objects, the quality of the connections is the key to quality per se. And quality doesn't mean an costly affair. Quality means the affordable affair, that it is accessible, sustainable, and it can be afforded by everyone and anyone. And this is where we look at that, like how we connect everything and anything there: dance, movements, sound, light, drawings, patterns, architecture, motifs, everything and anything. And then we don't lose our traditional practice, our rich heritages. And then where that I always look for that the trees mix with the building. If we talk about that, instead of returning the city, we can't return the city, it's river of no return, but let us be embraced with the forest and city together. So this is one small presentation I have, and we can always go into a few other talks, and I'll just show you that there is one classroom study that where we are working with art scientists and telling the stories for paleontology. And in this whole idea of paleontology, we're talking about understanding the Cambrian era, and where we try to make students understand about that, that across the world, once upon a time, it's the same landmass. And in this same landmass, how this whole Bactribus came into the picture. And from there, our students started creating small stories of different region, and trying to use a material which can be existing material, not to procure any new material, and breaking the stereotype of animation, breaking the stereotype of the illustrated or picture image into using different mediums, as crazy as textile material. And before that, it's very important to do the visual research along with the data research, the information collections, and that is where the contribution of every expert is very important. So this is where we talk about that creating a larger ecosystem of design community for this country, and then doing the storyboards and planning and timing and presentation time and again, getting feedback, improving upon, and then going for the final production, and etc., etc. So this kind of culture, I think it's about time, and we'll be very happy to move further. And I will end this presentation with a small two presentation. One is students here using absolute scrap material and telling the story of the art, how precariously we are living in this art, where the garbage is the biggest problem. So I'll just play this film. Is it visible?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
And sound is coming?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So these are all waste material in the studio, scrap materials. They create a story out of it and tell the story of pollution. And the whole idea is to create a set of toys along with this film, so the user can be play around further, and that idea can only move forward if we really collaborate with distributors, IPR companies, and lawyers, many others. So, but this much is our idea, because we are the Institute of Ideation. So what we end of the day encourage also that it should carry certain value. It should connect. It is not. It should not be only in isolation. And this is one last presentation, which is basically we also encourage in our education craft documentation and market research. So this is something to what a group of students did on Kundapalli, which is a very famous Andhra, some of the many varieties of Andhra rich toys and other traditional materials. The Kundapalli communities are facing a severe problem, like for various reasons. So this is what they go through. That the students submit a report under the guidance of their faculty. And of course, we know that this is 400 years plus old tradition, and and basic information which one can always find on internet. But this is purely going to the field and talking to the different craftspeople, and also talking to the experts and professors. And the use, what we see, the tourism, social event integration, sensitization program, jewelry, fashion, home decor, hobbyist activities, do-it-yourself, collectibles, creative collaborations with education institutes, and corporate gifting, training and recreation. This is the high points came up from this this project. So now this geographical development, which is being talked about, that Amravati is going to be the region where it will be developed with multiple education activities, where many other local activities can be connected and be benefited out of it. And we are hopeful that it is going to be definitely a reality with the National Studies in Andhra Pradesh is very fast developing its team, moving towards. So from this research, what the most interesting part when students constantly interacting with different stakeholders from various aspects, and then what it come out is finally that what we look at, that these are the points, where one needs to take it further. So what is the observation and inferences and possibilities? What it came up is like limited volume of sale due to demand supply business model is not in place. Then test runs to check popularity won't hurt economy much in the long run. Hello? Hello?
Sir, I think someone's microphone accidentally was turned on, I think.
Oh, okay. I thought my time is up. So, yeah. So, so these are the reports, like what we create. It's like seasonal, and festival shopping, it goes up, sometimes it goes down, and all these things. And then the softwood, which is they source locally, but this aggressive expansion could lead to environmental stress and ecosystem disturbance. This is another biggest challenge, like using natural materials, and which is now in today's time another handicap is coming, the environmental issues. Then we have to also retain the Kondapalli identity. That what is the identity, like any identity of these traditional toys. And at the same time, we talk about psychological consideration of asking a craftsman what makes idols of gods to make ordinary items. And then dignity of the craftsman, because it's also associated with a lot of rituals and customs. And visual aesthetics, which is because of it's known for, that we can't compromise. So how we do the brand building, keeping that identity which is being established 400 plus years, and then that is going to be the question. These are the projects, basically it stops after some time, because students, they have to move on and they have to get their journey ahead. But this is perhaps my proposal, that it's only collaborations in different level creating a matrix. I'm sure the Indian toy and game sector and storytelling sector has a bright future for the world, because the world is look up to us. And this is what my end note today. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it. If there is any questions or response, I'll be happy to take.
There will be a question answer session at the end, sir, where all the participants can address their questions.
Uh,
Um,
yeah, that's nice. But can you tell me how long it will be? So I'll prepare
so
my.
yes, sir, we have one more speaker.
Yeah,
After which we will open the forum for questions. So I
perfect.
don't think
Perfect.
it will be more than 20 minutes, sir.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Your words were really motivating and inspiring. Now we move on to Ms. Anandita Sengupta. She is currently the creative director at Magic Crate. Magic Crate is an innovative early childhood learning company that is a pioneer and market leader in the area of discovery kits for young children. Ms. Sengupta completed her BE degree in information technology, after which she pursued her true passion and bagged a degree in toy and game design from the National Institute of Design. At Magic Crate, she is the chief designer who oversees all design activities, prototypes, packaging, and brand building. With elaborate skills in toy design, game design, visual communication, and illustration, ma'am is truly an inspiration to all design enthusiasts. I welcome ma'am to give her words of guidance to our participants here. Thank you.
Thank you, Swanila, for the introduction. I would first of all like to thank IIST Shibpur for giving me the opportunity to talk to this young crowd. It's been a long time since I've done this, and therefore another round of thanks to uh, Dr. Shekhar Mukherjee for suggesting my name for this. I think this opportunity is one of a kind for me because I'm able to speak to students of an engineering college who are kind of not yet into the field of design formally or officially. And it takes me back to my own journey as a student of engineering when design was not on my planned roadmap at all. I studied information technology in Bangalore, RDCE, and my plan was all set that I would take the CAT entrance examination, go on to study MBA from there, and take up a cushy job and just keep growing from strength to strength. Design or art was always meant to be a passion, not a profession. But I think, and the ironical fact is, although I'm an ex-NIDian, right up to the final year of my engineering, I had no idea about National Institute of Design. By the time I had already gotten a job in Motorola as a software engineer, which is what I took up because it was in line with my life's goals. But straight away into the job, I realized that this is something someone else has laid out for me. This is not where my interest lies. However, I was totally clueless. I came from the small town background where emphasis has always been on engineering and medical as courses to pursue and make your mark in. So it was a time of reckoning for me whether I look at myself doing this for the next 25 years of my, or rest of my work life or not. And the answer was very clear, although I had no idea how to go about it, but the answer was very clear that no, this is not what I want to contribute to the society and world in general. There has to be some creative, outlet where what I work has a creative meaning or an aspect to it. So pretty much on a whim, I applied to National Institute of Design, and funnily enough, at that time I was all set to apply to communication design and product design. Toy and game design was again a secondary choice, but after a bit of thinking, I decided to apply to toy and game design as well because I have always loved working with and working for children. So somewhere I think I just took that leap of faith and applied, and got an opportunity to study at National Institute of Design, Ahmedabad. Another funny aspect is this is me talking to you about my story, because I think all of you will find yourselves at these junctures or crossroads of decision where you want to decide what you want to do with your life. Today we are attending this webinar where everyone is telling you about all the potentials of the toy industry. But I think it's important for all of you as bright youngsters to ask yourself, what is it that you really want to do? And it's completely okay to not have a very sound answer to that. Even if you have your top 3 choices, you should kind of work towards it rather than keep it aside and listen to what someone else is telling you is the better thing to do. Because I think you'll find satisfaction only then. So that's how my journey began. I entered NID and it was kind of an eye-opener. It's very different from a regular engineering college, different environment. As Professor Mukherjee mentioned, it's a studio environment where everything is very hands-on, minds-on, and there was so much to learn. For the first time in my life, not to brag, I'd always been an A-level student, but it was the first time in my life that I realized that I'm surrounded by people who are probably way more talented than me, and there's so much to learn. There's so much that I don't know. And I think that was the brilliance of NID, to imbibe that design thinking in me. So I didn't learn only toy and game design. I think I learned all courses of design that were there, because I was surrounded by a very creative bunch of people who weren't afraid to ask questions, who weren't afraid to experiment. From there on, this is me in 2008. When I graduated from NID. Frankly speaking, toy and game design was still a very niche job opportunity area at the time, and I wasn't very sure whether I was actually going to pursue it in spite of my degree in toy and game design. And there was an opportunity which kind of landed in my lap. This was from my first company, Green Toys, which didn't even exist then. The idea came from my ex-founder, Mr. M.P. Hariharan, who used to run advertising agency at that time. And he was based in Bangalore, and he had looked at this Chanpatna artisan's craft of lacquered and turned wooden toys. And he believed that there was potential to kind of evolve it into a more, more globally, branded product line. And I still remember the day when he had written to me, and I had asked him, "Sir, but I don't see anything related to toy design on your website. It's all about graphic design." And he was like, "If you join us, the company will start." And I think that was what intrigued me a lot, and I took the opportunity. So at Green Toys, I think it was another learning curve where, although I was designing toys, I was surrounded by a bunch of people who were experts at communication design. And again, there was this learning curve. I think that's when I really understood how the industry works. And I believe that's extremely important, because there are pros and cons of both. I think in your academic years, you get a lot of freedom to take your ideas forward without being inhibited by its feasibility in the real market. But once you hit the ground of real industry, you have to kind of come to terms with the fact that design is for user and design is not art, which means it always needs to be for a purpose, and it needs to meet a certain set of requirements where it can grow or scale or have demand in the market. Okay. So I think Green Toys was were 4 years where I kind of created something from scratch, like literally pulling it out of thin air because nothing like that existed. And it gave me tremendous learning in terms of how to create a product line, how to work with artisans, how to translate something which has for so long been done only in one way into another way. So I'll be soon sharing a presentation which will walk you through this small case study of how I developed Green Toys, and from there on, Green Toys kind of did fairly well in the US. From there, I moved to my current position, which is creative director at Magic Trade. Magic Trade has also a very similar story. I received the call from the founder that we want to start something, and would you be keen on joining us? And I think it was another similar journey, but in a slightly different space. It was again toys and games, but now it was also in the field of education very, very strongly, because Magic is definitely an edtech startup. Same journey over there, building a team right from scratch, developing a product line which was far more diverse than what I did at Green Toys. I headed almost everything from its brand visioning to product portfolio roadmap to user studies to team building, and then also defining what kind of marketing language, etc. we had. So that is what I'm currently still at the helm of, and it's been going from strength to strength. It is one of the most well-known brands when it comes to educational activity kit brands. Just last year, we also diversified into online classes provided to children for various categories, from music to chess to coding to higher order thinking skills. And this was kind of fueled by the pandemic scenario that hit all of us last year. So more on that later. But for now, I would like to kind of just tell you all a little bit about play, because I think that's where my core expertise is. How do you define play? If you're designing a toy, what is it that you should think of? When you attempt this toy-a-thon, you all are engineering students, so you already have an advantage that you understand the science behind how things work and how things can be built. So that's a brilliant added advantage, and I've always liked the fact that I am also from an engineering background, because it kind of gives you that ability to think in a structured way, right? So without further ado, I will just start with my presentation. Just a moment. Is it visible to everyone?
Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Okay, so I think in toy design, fun follows function. What I mean by that is everyone thinks toy is something playful, and as long as you have fun with it, I think it suits the design purpose. I would like to counter that after 10 years in the industry, that function is highly important as well, because today's kids are very different from what we were as kids. In fact, between you and me, again, there's a generation gap. So even compared to what your all childhood has been, kids of today, my own daughter, they are growing up in a very different world. And I think while free play is also super important, um, success stories are sometimes also built upon things which have a very, very great function. They solve a need or a problem so beautifully that almost everyone wants it. So, so today I think let's ditch definitions and we'll just absorb experiences, which is why I'm trying to tell you more about my journey and story, which will help you make the most of your creative abilities when you actually attempt the toy-a-thon. So these are all the definitions which you would get if you actually search for what is a toy, right? But the one thing that underlies all of them is obviously play, right? So what we play with is a toy, or in someone else's beautiful words, the Krida founder says, play is something children do when they are not told what to do, right? So play is usually a gamut of different kinds of things that not just youngsters, but even grown-ups do. So what are the attributes of play, right? They say play is intrinsically motivated. Well, then what about a school's physical education period? That is something which you're doing because it's in your set routine and it's done by a trainer. They say play is focused on means, not ends. Then what about a child who is practicing rollerblades, right? He's trying to balance. Or what about children who are playing games? The objective is there to win. That is the end needed. They say play is non-literal or symbolic behavior, like how toddlers do. But then what about sensory play, like finger painting or sandbox, right? Over there, they are trying to make sense of the world around them by building things which they think are replicas of what they understand, what their interpretation is, right? Free from external rules, that's another attribute of play. Again, what about things like jump rope or sports or games, which usually will have a set of rules to play with. Play always involves active engagement. Well, then what about the child's flight of fancy or imagination? Isn't that also a kind of play? They also say that play is usually focused on what the child can do with an object, not what the object is meant for. This I feel is very true. So, of course, I mean, there are so many times we design a toy for a certain purpose, and if you take it to a user study, we find the child interacting with it in a completely different way, and that itself is a bank of ideas for us, right? So, this is definitely true that what the child can do with an object defines its play value as opposed to what it has been designed for. So it might be much larger than what we as designers intend sometimes. So keep that at the back of your mind when you're thinking of your design concepts. So for example, here also what about a baby playing with a switch? On, off. That's a kind of play. The switch is not really meant for that. The switch is meant for just turning the light on. But that's a kind of play for a child, right? So there are these attributes of play which kind of try to help you understand that what play should be about, but none of them are bounding. Everything is open for experimentation and questioning. So think freely when you design a toy or when you design something for play. So this is my understanding. What is a toy? A toy is anything that gives joy, pleasure, experiences, relaxation, and it can be the person's interpretation rather than the designer's interpretation. It can be both, right? So a product which can entertain, educate, and engage, in my belief, is toy design, right? And we cannot just ask what is toy design because the what is never enough. It is basically a lot of other questions apart from the what. So for example, what's this? This is just a red dot or a red circle, or is it a sun, right? So, but now what is this? It's a ball, right? So design always has to be in context, which I think has already been mentioned by Professor Mukherjee and Mr. Sahu in their presentations. So therefore, the who, where, why, how, when, All of this matters in toy design. And I believe in any stream of design. We cannot just say what is toy design, right? The creative process of toy design, Mr. Sahu already went through, so I will not go through it in too much detail. But what I want to kind of crystallize out of that is any design process is something that begins with observation. You need to observe, you need to reflect, and only then begin the process of creation, right? But it doesn't stop there. It's a loop, and that's how great designs come up, right? It's a constant loop of observing, reflecting, ideating, creating, iterating, and again going back to the drawing board, right? So this is a case study, very brief one that I would like to present on Green. This is the range of wooden toys that I created under the brand name of Green, using the wooden toys craft of Chanpatna in Karnataka. So the initial brief was to design toys or activity sets or games across 3 different age groups, right? And this necessarily had to be based out of the craft which was being practiced by the artisans of Chanpatna. So we did the usual research and the market study, and we also studied My Organic's product line. So My Organic were our collaborators in terms of manufacturing. Me and my co-founder were the ones who were supposed to design the entire range. So the 3 main things which crystallized out of Chanpatna, and this is something as you design, if you are trying to design keeping a certain craft type or process in India, this is very important for you to understand what are their strengths, what are their limitations, what else is possible, and how can we add value to it. Because these are artisans who have been doing it since ages. So skill is plentiful. But innovation is what we so one has to be empathetic to that. It can still be scaled, and I believe that is what the government is now trying to provide a lot of impetus to. I think with policies and plans in place, even handicraft can carve out a mass manufacture status. One has to search back the lifeblood of these creative processes and give them back their dignity, their brand value, their position in the current market, so that it also scales a lot, right? The next thing that we had to keep in mind was this is colorful, but there were only a few options. Now, since they used only eco-friendly pigments, which were all made out of natural substances, you couldn't do a pink or a purple or anything that you thought of. Now, this is a big constraint. I mean, I had never had to work in something like that, and it immediately cut down on the number of things that you could do. But even so, it is possible to create something amazing out of it, right? And it's age-old, yet unique. So given these constraints, My Organic had already created their own product line, which looked like this. It has this very adorable Indian ethnic charm about it, and they had a very, very good market base in Southeast Asia as well as in the European market. But my co-founder's vision was to kind of use the same craft and come up with a range of toys and activity sets which can be marketed globally, which probably have the look and feel of India, but not necessarily super ethnic looking. So the market study kind of quickly showed up which wooden toy brands were there, which eco-friendly brands were there. At that time, there were no Indian equivalents. There were a lot of furniture design brands for children, but when it comes to wooden toy design, there were none. Today, we have Shumi Toys by Meeta Sharma, a brilliant brand, which is, I mean, if you get a chance, you must Google her up. She'll be there in my second presentation. It's a great story about how you can translate your vision and create something in a place where you would have never imagined that you can do it, right? Because most of the wooden toys which you will see in India, they are they have their roots in our craft processes, right? However, Meeta undertook the challenge of using locally sourced wood and coming up with very global-looking designs. More on that later. So after the market study, and you can, if you just go to Amazon and open up a toy category, you would get a bunch of play items and toy categories which are available for the current market, right? Why this kind of study is important is it helps you understand or kind of narrow down where your design idea is leading, because you cannot create anything and everything. So this kind of gives you an idea that if you are working with a certain Indian story or a craft cluster, which of these categories are possible, right? It helps in narrowing down as well as helping you kind of visualize the final product. Yeah, this is what differentiates design from art. Art can be free flowing, like you need not even have the final, product or final result in your mind. It just grows or happens. Design, on the other hand, is very structured. You must know what is it that you're trying to create, right? And then kind of work up towards it. So after a lot of brainstorming, etc., so we came up with the theme that we will do a nature-based theme, because the materials were eco-friendly and that we're going to do it for a young age, which was from 6 months to 5 years of age group. So it was decided that we will go for nature-themed wooden toys with global aesthetics. So this is kind of a visual representation of how the toys evolved. There were initial concepts, and this is what the final products end up looking like, right? And as you can see, they still have the lovely Indian lacquerware design language about them. However, the final products are not necessarily something which is typically Indian. I believe, given the promotion that Indian government is doing about growing the toy business in India, this is something to keep in the back of your mind, that we should be doing both. We do not need to be limited by what has been designed till now. It is our job to provide a fresh range of ideas, some innovative ways to kind of extend the range that is already there, right? So basically, it just went into a constant loop of prototype and testing. This is super important for a designer to, for now, the Toy-Kathon is probably just asking you for design concepts. You'll probably have to just present at the concept level. But if you affirm your ideas with prototypes and your understanding and feedback from testing with actual children or yourself, that is going to lend a lot more value to your concept note. This was the final product line. As you can see, packaging plays a very important role in marketing your brand story, right? So we went with white packaging, because usually if you go to any toy store in India, it's a riot of colors, right? And we wanted to make sure that when we place our boxes, they need to stand out, right? So we went for white because it also was, it kind of gave that meaning of pure. And this was pure because there were no toxic materials used, no toxic colors used. Even the packaging was completely eco-friendly. It was only paper and cardboard. So that had to be communicated visually, and which is what gave this white kind of packaging with very bold Indian color palette. And next came marketing. So for that, we sold the Green Toys range on Amazon in US. In India, we couldn't find much takers given the cost of the products. So this is a story which still stays in India. You can design a lot of very good eco-friendly toys, but many a times you would have to figure out its absorption in the Indian market because it's a very price-sensitive one, right? But Shumi Toys founder Meeta has done a brilliant job of kind of doing the balancing act and bringing a wonderful range of wooden toys to the Indian stores. So after this case study, what I just want to show you is toy design can sometimes break barriers. Like, it's a usual play, but if you just be a little bit of creative, you can have a very unusual and very interesting design. Always have fun with form. When you are designing a toy, it needs to look attractive and interesting. Now, long ago, crayons were only meant as, like the regular oil pastels which you see. If you think of toddlers, the way they hold things is very different. They grab things, they grasp things, right? They don't hold it like a pencil. And Crayola was one of the first to come up with these very chunky, nice to hold forms like eggs and almost crayons which look like toys, which become your buddies, right? And from there, it has been just a constant sequence of innovation, very innovative products. Another very innovative thing which Crayola has done in the recent times is, that kids love finger painting, but parents hate the mess. So they came up with a pad which is covered with a plastic layer, and there are color blobs inside the plastic layer. So the child can just press. Think of it just like your normal, like a plastic envelope with color blobs inside, and there's a sheet behind it, but the colors don't stick, right? They're kind of an oil-based thing, so they move around. And the child just presses with their fingers and creates all kinds of art, and it's not messy, and it's so tactile. I wish I had a photo for that. Maybe towards the end of the presentation, I would like to show you. But this is the kind of innovation that gives a fillip to a toy brand. You have to innovate. Without that, very soon someone else is just going to take over you. Ugly is the new cute. Now we always think of toys as adorable or very cute-looking characters, but I think Indian art forms have that awesome quality of being unique and not conforming to the general idea of what is beautiful. It's very graphic. It can be very geometrical. So if you look at Madhubani, you look at Kalamkari, you look at Mandala, all of these are such amazing art forms which can be cross-mapped with the toy industry's products. And Indian textile industry is already a very, very historically well-known industry. And I think there can be huge collaboration and synergies between the textile industry and the toy industry. So it's just an example of breaking conventional meanings and barriers, right? I mean, these are such cute-looking monster toys. Who said it has to be only a teddy bear? Then Lego meets origami, right? So everyone knows Lego, right? Plastic blocks which you can join together to build anything, and it comes in a variety of colors. Now, this is something similar but made out of paper. How eco-friendly, right? And so vibrant and so attractive. So next example is Barbie, known to be the most popular toy since decades, but very recently, from the 2010 onwards, it was kind of a Pandora's box. What were the kind of gender definitions that we were promoting with a toy like this? And it did a turnaround, right? So ethics becomes very important for any toy design which is meant for children. Then doll houses. I think when a layperson thinks of toy design, probably they think of balls and dolls and doll houses, right? Now here is an amazing combination where you can create your own doll house, not once, but 100 times, because there are 100 pages in this diary, right? So I think this kind of cross-mapping or out-of-the-box thinking will find many takers. And this is what we need to do with our craft clusters as well as with our Indian heritage. We have to think about it in a way that nobody else has thought about. There have been a bunch of novels by Amish Tripathi who has kind of told the same stories of our Vedas in a very modern, in a very contemporary way. And it found so many takers. I mean, I believe with it. Like, I know my daughter would probably read that instead of listening to, the story that I'm telling, the real story, right? So I think we should not be afraid of putting a new spin on this rich historic culture that we have. I think it's very important to globalize. Rest of it, these are statistics, but what we need to keep in mind is toy industry is a highly labor intensive industry, and we have a lot of potential in our country, but it's largely unorganized. And what is sad to see that only 20% of India's toy market is fulfilled by toys from within India. Rest all of it is from outside, right? So being a toy designer means you have to step into the end user's shoes. Like seriously, like you need to play. You cannot just think and draw it on paper and be done with it. So that kind of toy design is just not enough. You need to fiddle a little. You need to have lots of fun, because if you are not having fun, nobody's going to have fun with your product, right? So this was my initial presentation, which I wanted to show. Swanila, do we still have time for another 10 minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
Sure. So I'll just kind of breeze through the next one, because I think when it comes to real toy design, I wanted to leave the audience today with kind of some key insights. So I'm going to skip through the first part. This is just my journey. And these are examples of our traditional toys from all parts of India, which the previous speakers already touched upon, and we will find them, right? Tomorrow, there will be the Krida founder also giving a talk. So I believe more will be understood there. So just to quickly skip to Shumi Toys. Yeah, this was founded by Meeta. So very similar story. She returned from UK and with 3-month-old and a 3-year-old, and she was looking for safe organic toys, and she couldn't find anything. My Organic and Vernum and all these other craft cluster toys, they still existed. But what she was looking for is, if she has to buy a wooden toy, why does she have to buy such a costly counterpart which is imported from abroad? Why aren't similar ones being designed in India? This is the challenge she took up, and she has created an amazing brand. Please do check out for ideas about toys which are locally produced but have global design, right? So design is all about context, right? And this poster shows it clearly. What you design, if you do not think about the system in which it will function, you would miss out on a lot of factors, right? So please always be conscious of the context for which you're designing. So right now I think the Toycathon is kind of encouraging all young designers to come up with ideas which will give a fillip to the toy industry in India. So that is the context. But in that context, there are several ways we can create designs, right? So very quickly running through, as a designer, these are the things to keep in mind. You have to adapt. Change is the only constant. I think the last year, the pandemic showed all of us this. We all started working from home, studying from home, schools became online, extracurricular classes became online, everything became virtual, and everyone had to very quickly adapt. And those who didn't, they folded, they sank, right? I think as designers, it's very important. And I think not just us as designers, I think the Indian toy industry would have to keep in mind that we have to adapt. We must highlight our culture and roots, but we also need to adapt. Next is observe, listen, and apply. So you must step into your user's shoes, right? Be multidisciplinary. Toy design is like making a movie, like the wonderful mixed media creations which Professor Mukherjee showed you. There is no limit to what all you can incorporate in toy design. I mean, it is everything from product design to graphic design to videos to digital to technology. The world is wide open when it comes to toy design. I mean, a child will play with a physical toy, a child will play with an app on the tablet, right? So absorb everything from all kinds of design disciplines. Cross-pollinate. I found this tip usually very useful when I'm stuck in a rut. I think innovation is something that will come easily only if you are able to connect two dots which someone else has not been able to connect or even see. So it's always about changing your perspective, right? So just to give a simple example, we always see these amazing looking, very Western doll houses which parents buy for their children. How come nobody has ever designed doll houses which look like our own Indian castles and forts? So I think there's a wealth of ideas to mix and match in our own heritage, in our own culture. So for example, our own characters of Krishna and Gopal, they can, the stories of our Vedas or Ramayanas, and not just to stick to one religion, let's be inclusive of all the stories which our ancient traditions have. What if we converted each of them into games, right? And they came alive on a playboard, right? So I think cross-pollination is very important. Like for example, if you're working with a craft cluster which is specializing in bamboo, can we combine our Indian textiles with it? It would give you such a range of ideas never thought of before, right? So definitely try this when you're thinking of innovative design. Master the art of storytelling, because I think whenever we are trying to develop a toy brand, your current range will come and it'll go, but the stories that you build, that will be remembered forever. So every toy tells a story, and games also tell wonderful stories which actually can be enacted, right? So storytelling is a very important part of building out your idea. If you have a great story, people are going to listen to you, people are going to invest in you. So master that art. Encourage DIY. We do not want to create a nation of passive consumers. Let's make a nation of makers, thinkers, and doers. So as Mr. Sahu had touched upon the topic of STEM toys, Magic Rig is in the tech industry, very much trending, extremely hot right now, because all the parents are looking forward to having the children play with STEM toys, and the science, technology, engineering, and math. Why? Because that is where the world is headed. We need to make the generation able to solve problems, to think critically, and all of that will come if they are given a chance to build things on their own. So encourage do-it-yourself kids, because then the toy is not limited by what you imagine it to be. It could be so much more depending upon how the child thinks about it. Right? These are just a few brands in the edtech learning space. You could check them out later for inspiration, but they are extremely trending. Then dabble in digital. I think we all need to embrace the power of technology. This is an area which Indian toy industry is woefully lacking behind in. There are just a couple of names which kind of are doing justice to it. It has only recently come up. For example, there is this brand called Play Shifu, which is doing some brilliant play activities through technology. So do check out their site, and they have a mix of physical and digital, which nowadays is called phygital play. So children are not only limited to playing with a physical toy, the learning extends a lot beyond that because of the add-on of technology. Just to give you a quick sneak peek of a similar brand. So this is a counterpart brand in the US, Osmo Play. So here, kids are picking up a lot of skills through a mix of physical and digital play. There's a lot of interactive possibilities, which is kind of very happening for kids of today's age. And I believe platforms like this can give an immense fillip to stories from India or characters from India. I think at the end of the day, the underlying technology is open for use for all. So let's kind of capitalize on ideas like this and shine our Indian stories through it. Aim for again. Does it pass the 10th play test? See, the new toy is always exciting, but how many times does the child or the user come back to play with it again and again and again? Those are the examples of toys which become classic. Dream global. I think it's for us to define and shape what Indian toys are and will be known for. So just to give a quick example, most of you might have heard of this brand called Chumbak. It does not design toys. But what I love about this brand is how they have taken the Indian ethos and art form and turned it into a phenomenon. They started with just fridge magnets, which were intended to be collected as souvenirs by visiting foreign tourists. But today they have stores of their own in crossing all kinds of categories like home decor and personal accessories, toys, and so much more. Okay? And ultimately, build the right values. I think it is very important for designers to make a conscious choice and walk the tightrope all the time. Because as G.K. Chesterton said, you having the right to do something does not automatically make it right. So be very conscious of what will be the impact of your design on the system as a whole. And when I say system, it just doesn't mean the human resource or the users who will consume it, but also the ecosystem in general, values of sustainability. How does it impact the entire world in general? So make those conscious choices. It will be hard and it won't be possible all the time, but it should be kept in mind. So with that, I would like to end my presentation. Thank you very much for patiently hearing me out, and I think I crossed the time a bit, but I hope it was worth it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your thought-provoking presentation. I'm quite confident our audience today have gained much knowledge on designing the ideal toy. I would now like to invite the audience of today's webinar for a short question-answer session with our speakers. I shall bring to the attention of our speakers and delegates of today the fact that the audience that our audience presence, and we have with us school-going students as well as students and faculty members from higher institutions all around the country. Please feel free to voice your doubts and queries. Thank you. Anyone who would like to ask anything to our speakers today?
ठीक है
Sir and ma'am, I had a doubt actually, and it's not to anyone specific. How can we as students like contribute to the Indian toy making industry? Like what can we as students do which will contribute towards that?
The question is directed to someone in specific?
No, it's not directed to.
Since I'm probably closest to Kesh among the three speakers, to the students, I would like to take up this one. Hope that's okay, Mr. Sahu Mukherjee, sir.
Yes, okay. Please go ahead.
So I think it's a very broad question, Rajdeep, which you've asked. At the outset, I would say that let's keep our minds open as engineering students about what way we can contribute to the system. Don't be afraid to take up the opportunity to build something new when you start out, because I think it's these early 20s where there is tremendous chance for you to explore, meet new people, do new things, and pick up a lot of learning. So it's not just about you contributing, but also what you learn. I think this is the electronic engineering branch, if I'm not wrong. I just kind of guessed it. But even so, I think a lot of you have the option of getting into the edtech industry. If you understand about design, if you enjoy creating things, if you enjoy solving problems, all of these are actually a part of toy design. And I think someone who is indigenous is going to be able to bring in our culture into modern or contemporary design way better than someone who visits us from abroad, right? So collaborations will be there, but I think it needs to come from you guys joining new ventures, not the typical very safe jobs. I mean, go out there, build something new, make a team, have an idea, try it out. You will fail, but you would have learned something. And you never know, it might just become the next trending thing after 2 years. And I've seen this happen over and over again, right? Because when I was doing wooden toys, nobody was doing wooden toys in India, at least for the larger market. And today there is Nina Sharma who has founded that. When I started Magic Grade, nobody was really doing activity kits like who wants to build toys, we should just buy toys from the shop, right? But today edtech is a byword, right? And then Corona hitting us, who thought that people would be doing all kinds of classes right in their own rooms and their houses, right? So the world is constantly changing. Please utilize the opportunity to mix with new people and contribute your ideas and have the problem solvers mindset, which I believe you all as engineering students already have. All we need to do is put it to creative use.
If I may add here, like I think it's no more the world of solo. It is something is teamwork, and maybe it will be nice to find out some kind of diverse skill sets, and then you just for fun you say that let's start something, and if you say that okay, start up, like take advantage of the internet. And just try out something just for fun, not with the burden of that it should get an Oscar and all these things. And that is the biggest problem I feel that happened in Indian animation in the beginning days, that everybody want to conquer Hollywood, and it is completely a wrong formula. Whereas if you see Indian cinema is so rich even in regional cinema. So I think what you people can always try out something just for fun. And many of the case studies, successful business model in this world came out from fun. The 3-4 friends came together, and it's nothing unique anymore. It's a very only thing you have to be really adventurous, disciplined, methodical, and kind of do your homework and do ethical practice. It's very important. Because it's where I think we are still struggling. One is the protection of the IP, and then ethical practice. Acknowledging, doing content research, but I think sky is the limit in a way, if you see that today, than when we were perhaps a student, didn't have much more opportunities. Yeah, because you have to wait for a snail mail to return your ideas. After a year, got lost in a post office. Compared to that, today you see that you are tweeting your idea. So, and you never know what is lying ahead. So that's why I think one should be really jump into this exciting time. But do your homework and work in collaboration.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, ma'am.
I have a queries for Mr. Dipan Sahu. Can I ask?
Yes, please go ahead.
What you are thinking that how the higher educational institutions they contribute for the toy making? Because whenever it comes to the higher educational institutions, generally the students they are involved in the prototype developments, and they always have a dream that they will make something which can be which is of useful, but which may not be a toy type. So how the academic institution can think, and whether you are thinking that these higher educational institutions should introduce some courses, any specialized course for this particular toy making,
If you'll ask me specifically the word toy, maybe it is not the part of curriculum, but generally we see it as an extracurricular activity in most of the institute. And if you will talk about the institute like NID, maybe they have a specialization stream or specialized course on the toy. But it is not, because how many NIDs are there in our country? So the number is less. And still, because we've not taken toy as one of the potential sector, that where our students can see the employment opportunities, or they can see the business opportunities, that we've not realized it so far. That's why actually it is not a big part of the curriculum, because Indian curriculum is quite fixed one and not much innovative, because what industries they blame us, because most of the curriculum is driven by the major industry or the major corporates, generally like IT corporates, like IT sector and the other sectors. But this toy sector in India, it is mostly driven by the MSME, the small, medium and small enterprises, which is not much technology driven. And if the startups, the current generation startups, mostly they amalgam this technology aspect. They use this industry 4.0 technologies with the indigenous version of the toys, or the toys generally we use in they create a new hybrid version of the toys. So when this kind of toys will emerge, and now our students will realize the or understand the what they will create, they will understand the what kind of business potential, or what kind of toys actually that we can create. After that, actually, this academic institution, they will take a role of including this kind of streams in the curriculum. But we should not wait for that time. The current NEP, the recent National Education Policy says that the curriculum should be designed in such a way that there will be much focus on the multidisciplinary. This is the first one. It must be research oriented. And the second one is, the third one is called, it should align with the learning cycle of the student. That is, there are 4 phases of the learning. So most this toy making, mostly it is focused on at the initial level of preparing, understanding the kind of a requirements, which is mostly connected with the emotion of the person. Because mostly we use when we play with any toy, we quite emotionally attached with that. And so we have to understand the psychology aspect. We have to understand the behavioral aspect of the person, if you want to understand this toy industry and if you want to contribute. And this is the what actually our curriculum need to be bit improvised or refined. And I hope this NEP is going to help in this regard. And when our institution will think about revising the curriculum, be it as engineering or it the design courses or other courses, we have to bring this multidisciplinary aspect. And we have to, in addition to the existing thematic areas where startups are focusing, also we have to tell them that, okay, this is toy sector is also one of the thematic areas where you have to focus. So this is what our startup industry is doing, and we have to populate down to the industry, and our students have to catch it up.
So mostly it is considered as an extracurricular activity. Right,
yeah,
right.
It is extracurricular, but it's emerging areas now. So, yeah.
Sir, I have a question to primarily Mr. Dipon Shah and Professor Shekhar Mukherjee. That from our engineering perspective, whenever we want to do something or we want to learn something, we need a definition. So, my question is there kind of any definition for toy, or we all know that this is a toy, that is a toy, but is there anything that can we define in some form that this is a toy, or that this is a toy? How can we proceed, or from which point we shall start? So that is my
question. May I kind of try to answer this? I mean, do you know, I'm really thankful to institute like NID, because I never scored very well in the standard exam system, getting highest marks in all the subjects, and I was quite comfortable with drawing and reading stories, science fictions and fairy tales, and also kind of growing up with the kutum katam. That is something like natural shape of Indranath's collection of toys, like from that is something perhaps we need to revisit. Now degree of course create that pressure, but today if you look at a national education policy, what Dipanji is mentioning, it is something one needs to really, it's available online, one needs to really read it and reread it time and again. I think whether we like it or not, it is definitely coming to that picture of the more and more applied learning, because every child is creative. So, and this is a fantastic proposal. And I think it is definitely giving us these options, like, that you can change your stream, you can do a lot of hands-on stuff. And so maybe our next generation will be much more, I mean, this younger generation will be perhaps much more exciting travelers in this journey. But at the same time, this also brings us a challenge of even the role of the teachers or the faculty. Like, they also needs to be hands-on, even using the toys for education learning, like, teaching mathematics, teaching science, teaching everything, like, through toys. I mean, and it is there, of course, in different countries. And another area what we look at in national education policy is also talking about the giving emphasis of our vernacular. Like, so it will give us very fast-hand impression of our idea, like how success of Japan, the Japanese think in Japanese and express their ideas in Japanese. But I get my idea in my own language, then I translate it in English, somewhere lost in translation happen. So I think it is definitely, again, I'll go back to internet as a god, and if we balance it, and it is an exciting time. I really don't have any specific answer, but degree perhaps is not going to work too much in time to come, I'll tell you. Degree will follow, but passion has to be in the front runner, as a guiding angel. So yeah, Dipanji, if you want to add something.
Thanks, Professor. You have rightly said. I just want to add that the word toy, generally, we should not restrict with the definition, right? Because definition never let us to limit our thinking. And if we will rely on the definition, then actually we are limiting our thought process. So what Anandita has clearly defined and also explained in her presentation, that toy is something that has three components to play. That is, one is called, it is entertainment. Definitely it should be first. Then the second one is the education. It should have some learning component, and it should enrich our learning process. And the third one is called engagement. So actually I like these three components. If it is not fulfilling, we should drop that as an object, as a toy. Then it is actually waste of money, waste of resources, waste of time. So if something is fulfilling these three things, entertainment, education, and engagement, then I think we should set this as a standard definition for ourselves. Leave about the dictionary what they are going to do or what they are going to write. But we should say this is the minimum standard meaning of a toy, and you will tell that to our students, also the person, those are going to contribute to this toy industry, that you think something which is going to fulfill at least these three. Then only you start working on that. So I think that from that sense, if we start, then definitely we will create some meaningful object and also have some kind of a potential to impact in our society.
And it is definitely going to be part of a serious curriculum. This will come. I mean, this is coming already, and so more we get into this practice, and one more thing I want to add here, that it has to have that kind of fun element, like not only about toy, as a toy is also a concept. Like, we use this word, toying your idea, so it is also intangible, so eventually it's a mind, how we connects. Yeah, anyway, I mean, I think we can go on for hours, but yeah. I also want to add, I think I just missed out one last thing from my side. NID's one unique system is it's like a studio school. Like the exam is very tough. Once you get in, there is no further exam. It's only evaluation. Like you just present, and so getting in is tough and getting out is tougher because there is no more exam. It is only your ability to think and following the process and take your ideas further. Yeah. So.
And also we live in a very contrasting atmosphere that sometimes we say that when we are saying research, that means our minds should open for anything. And sometimes we are going and defining when we started learning what is the definition of research, and during the research methodology we have given with so many jargons and so many concepts, and after that actually we got limited with our experiment. So sometimes I always feel that actually research methodology, what we are doing and what we are learning and what we are practicing, actually in Indian context, still it is not in the very standardized form. That's why in India, even though the output from the result is not quality driven. Sometimes we ended with so many things. Okay, we are able to generate some IP, but that IP has no much high value in the international market. And also let me tell you that in international market, the 50% of IPs filed by Indians, they drop before it get into the final evaluation, which is highest rate among all among all nations. So this is the kind of situation. So no doubt, toy may have not that kind of high component. We should go ahead, we should promote, and definitely institute like NID and other design institutes. Once they will develop a benchmark other institutions for the adoption.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Well, if anyone doesn't have any further questions, I think we can move on to full and creative discussion that we have had today. Everyone, I think, an undergrad engineering student myself, I can truly say that I am thrilled by the new concepts of toy making and the wider concepts that we discussed today. It was a wonderful session. Thank you to everyone who were present with us today. Now I'm the Vice President of Institute's Innovation Cell 3.0.
Okay. Thank you, Sharmila. So, good evening, everybody. So just to brief sum up, Professor Chakraborty had brought into focus that global opportunities are huge and how we can reach out, and also bringing the MSME into the picture. And then Mr. Deepan Sahu has reiterated that the demographic dividend requires Indian youth to diversify and to tap unexplored potential. So one of them is toy making. That was at the start when toy making had not taken up the entire scene. We were just going inside, and outside this can be a source of entrepreneurship and also rejuvenating the economy. Then Dr. Shekhar Mukherjee, he focused very much on the rich cultural diversity of India, and he felt that needs to be broadcasted to the global scene. And he also felt that we require to pick up the age-old crafts and skills from the rural folks and tribes, try them out in a structured manner. That is how an added knowledge of engineering can help. And this will endow dignity of labor to them, and also in the process when we are exploring and trying to earn revenue and trying to create a market, we should not forget that the sanctity of Mother Nature should always be kept intact. That was his underlying. Now then, our very young Anindita Sengupta opened up with a plethora of ideas and a lot of thought-provoking many things, and how she made a detour from her IT to toy industry, following her passion. This is something like Chetan Bhagat has also said, like Rancho had said in the it's a Three Idiots, no? It's a Three Idiots, I think. I hope it's not Five Idiots, it's Three Idiots. So that passion is very much needed in our Indian youth, which I feel so. She spoke of not only innovation, but also seeing how single-handedly she created a brand. She leveraged also the rich cultural ecosystem of the India. And if it can be a food for the textile industry, then why not for the toys? It's a very valid question. And from my side, I would add only one sentence, that if khadi is fad, then Indian toys can become fad one day. Thank you so much. So I thank you everybody for participating, and I think it was very, very successful. Today, the first hour, the rendezvous with the toy making people, the IIEST people with the toy making people. So, sir, we will look forward for collaboration, and will Anindita and Professor Mukherjee, and we will ask Mr. Dipan Sahu to please frame policies and send to us, so that collaboration becomes easier. It becomes a part of the policies. So then we do not have to take lots of trouble, because we have a department of mechatronics and robotics, and they want to be a part of productization, commercialization, and so you can use their skill and their mindset. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So we leave today.
Yeah. Thank you. Stay safe.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Good night. Good night. Good night.
Bye bye. Bye. Good.
Bye.